the IDF spokesman posted a video in the basement of Rantisi Children's Hospital pointing to a random calendar, and he said that this is evidence of hostage keepers and terrorist names, and it was debunked and showed that it was like a regular calendar. More of these are being spread, like a nurse being said that she was in the hospital, and it was later debunked to be like an Israeli actress. Does this administration examine misinformation widely spread, especially from the Israeli part? Because we heard here on this podium repeatedly you saying that the number of killed was 1,400 when it was 1,200. Do you ask that? Do you ask and look into these information and evidence, or do you believe them blindly?
We look at a number of different claims. I don't know if that information about the counter has been debunked. I read in a prominent American newspaper today that in fact it showed on that calendar used the name for October 7th that Hamas uses. I have no way to hold on.
It's an Arabic date.
Let me just finish. Let me make my point. I have no way of either verifying or debunking that information, and it goes to the point. Please, I did not interrupt you when you're asking a question. There's plenty of time for people to ask questions. It goes to the point I was making yesterday that in the fog of war, from thousands of miles away at the podium, I have no way to independently adjudicate the various claims that are being made. I will come back to the core principles that we state, which is that we expect Israel that we expect Israel to operate with respect to humanitarian law, and I do want to restate the broader point with respect to hospitals that I said earlier, which is Hamas has long used hospitals as command centers. I can't speak to every individual claim. I'm not going to speak to intelligence that we have, and I can't adjudicate the various pieces of information from here when I'm thousands of miles away. But I think it's fairly well known, and if not accepted, I would hope it would be, that Hamas uses civilians as human shields. And I'm a little surprised that there are people that continue to challenge that claim, despite the evidence going back years, from well before October 7th, that Hamas has used mosques and schools and other civilian infrastructure as infrastructure for its own terrorist purposes.
Yeah, but my question is about misinformation. Like we heard a lot of recordings that you can see the accent. It's not like a proper Arabic accent. We've seen the calendar that is like so easy to know that it's dates, it's days. It's not anything. There's nothing on it.
I'm just not able to speak to individual claims. Of course, we monitor all this and we try to reach our own factual determinations, as we do in any conflict.
Okay, and on Lebanon, yesterday, a group of media journalists was a target to an Israeli airstrike on the southern borders of Lebanon. A month ago today, also an Israeli airstrike killed a Reuters correspondent. So do you have any comment on that?
We mourn the loss of every civilian life in this conflict, whether they be Israeli, whether they be Palestinian, Lebanese, or citizens of any other country. And I've spoken to this before. We know that journalists put themselves in harm's way to bring the truth to people around the world. And we commend them for that activity. It's one of the bravest acts you can ask anyone to do. And of course, when a journalist loses their life, we are deeply sorry for that having occurred.
Just come back to that.
Yeah.
Does the U.S. recognize the Geneva Conventions as applying to Palestinian territories?
Sam, what I'm just going to say is what you've heard us say before is that we believe. Well, that's the answer that I have for you, which is that we believe wholeheartedly that Israel has every right to defend itself and to defend its security.
Senator, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but when I call for a ceasefire in Gaza, I'm a journalist, my name's Aaron Mate. When I call for a ceasefire in Gaza, you have 4,600 children killed. 46. I know it's a quiet card. I apologize for abuse, but I understand. But children are dying. Children are dying, sir. More than 40. When I call for a ceasefire, they're being killed with our weapons. U.S. weapons are killing kids in Gaza.
Who are you?
My name is Aaron Mate. I'm a journalist.
Nice to meet you, Aaron.
Likewise.
Please stop talking to me.
I'm sorry, sir. It's of dire importance. More than 11,000 civilians, as we're talking, being killed. I'm a journalist for the Gray Zone.
What's the Gray Zone?
It's a U.S.-based news website.
Good for you.
Thank you. And right now, with our support, kids
stop.
are being killed. I'm sorry. With our
Please
weapons,
stop.
I'm asking you to explain when I call
Aaron,
for a ceasefire.
You're bothering me and everyone else around us.
Kids in Gaza are being massacred. I'm asking you to
Aaron.
please explain. Why not call for a ceasefire?
Stop. Sir, could I please have some help here?
Kids are being killed with our
Please
weapons.
stop. I'm asking you to stop.
Why not stop
This is
why
not
not call
an
for
appropriate
stopping
place
up?
for you to interview me.
It-
You're bothering everybody else around us.
It's a crisis
How
right
did you
now.
get this seat?
I bought the seat.
No. He's bothering me while I'm trying to do work.
and our government is paying for weapons that are murdering children and guys. I'm asking him why not call for a ceasefire.
Aaron,
Can you explain that?
please stop.
Can I ask you to explain why I call for a
You've already asked me
ceasefire?
5 times. I'm not
And
going
why
to
won't
call
you
for a
explain?
ceasefire. I strongly support humanitarian causes. I've urged the Israeli government to target their campaign against Hamas. But you need
Do you think
to
the
stop.
campaign is targeting against Hamas when
Aaron,
civilians are being massacred,
Aaron.
when babies and incubators are dying
Aaron,
because the
please
fuel's
stop,
being cut
or
off?
I'm going to have you thrown off this train. Please stop doing this.
I have to
You've
ask these
asked me
questions.
10 times.
I know, and I
You're
will
getting
keep.
as professional, measured, and appropriate an answer out of me as you can. This is not professional journalism. Please get up and leave now.
I don't think it's humane to be massacring kids. That's the problem here.
That's
I
great.
realize I'm not
I don't
being
think it's
professional.
humane to be massacring kids either.
Okay, then
And
why
I
are we
think
supporting
when
it?
Hamas massacred 1,400 Israeli civilians,
Uh-huh.
the whole world should unite in opposition to terrorism.
First of all, the number is 1,200. It wasn't
Are
entirely
we going to
civilians, but
quibble over
regard.
how many civilians
Well,
were
it's
massacred by
important.
Hamas?
It's important to be precise. It's important,
It is important to be precise.
But yes, civilians
And
were massacred. Does
I'm
that
a
give-
senator.
does that give us
This
the right
is
to
a
kill?
quiet car. You're breaking the basic rules of how we operate on Amtrak.
Okay, and the question
Please
is,
stop.
and I believe we're breaking international law
Okay.
by supporting
Thanks for
massacres
your
of
opinion.
civilians. Yes.
You've had a lot of my time. Please move on.
Why not at least
All right.
call for a
I'm
ceasefire?
done.